Okay, Jonathan, we are up on YouTube. Hi out there in YouTube land. Hi,
Hi.
Jonathan's there. Jonathan's in Carson City. I'm over here in Reno.
Sunny Reno.
Okay, a couple seconds of quiet and we'll start the podcast. Welcome to Podcaster. This is like the sixth, seventh episode that I've recorded. It's probably ended up being episode 6. We have the least experienced podcaster to date on the show. I can give him a hard time, but he is so much more than just a podcaster. We're going to find out why he started his podcast, what his relationship is to me, and Jonathan Denwood. Everyone knows Jonathan if they've been around me. They'll see the links. He's got 52 shows on WP-Tonic. I've had,
close.
you know what? WP-Tonic's done a lot for me as much as WP-Tonic's for you. Jonathan, I'm going to let you talk. This is about you. Why did you become a podcaster? What led you that direction?
It's purely the influence of Kim Doll, of the WordPress chick. You know, I approached her for some consultancy and about, I had some ups and downs in my personal life. I'm not going to go into enormous detail of that, but I was a little bit burnt out and I was looking for some mentorship. So I approached Kim, and first thing she said is, you're English, you're outgoing, you should consider podcasting. And that was about 6 months before we bumped in. And like most things, it was meant to be. Obviously, you find that the best things are, the hand of God has a little bit to do with it. And I thought, old Bill, I don't know much about this geezer, but, we just give it a go. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
I can't remember if you did an episode on timelines of success first. I should just pull that up before we got into
I've
it.
been on there, but I don't.
Let me look at when you did it, because I know about 2 years ago, I came into the Reno Collective, and they have a wonderful WordPress meetup group, which Jonathan used to be a lot more active in. He's still active, but he was getting pretty good crowds, and he was leading it as one of the co-organizers. He stepped back a little bit because he started a SaaS product, and that's another story. But we met each other, and I think it may have taken. You're the only one that asked me, by the way, in the whole area about podcasting. I thought that was pretty amazing. Actually, it was serious and considered. A couple other business people did, but they didn't follow up. But you did, and it probably took about a year. I'm pulling up timelines right now. Timelines of success.
No, we started pretty quick after we met because you were up for it.
Maybe you just didn't know me because I'd been coming to those for a few months.
We've been doing. We started a couple. We met, and then we started the podcast a couple months afterwards, didn't we?
Yep.
And we've been doing it now. It's getting close to a year, isn't it?
WP-Tonic was episode 20, and it came up on July 25th, 2014. So you already approached me about developing it, and we have 48 shows. We're coming on 50, so we're right about a year creating these.
Yeah.
And we would kill each other initially.
We've got close to parting, but actually, it is a bit like a marriage. There have been times where we've got very close to parting, but I think the past few months, our relationship's got a bit stronger and kind of re-energized a little bit. So it has its ups and downs, doesn't it?
Yeah, Jonathan even knows what happens when I don't get enough sleep.
You go pretty manic. I thought I could talk, but my God, when you don't have any sleep, you just go on and on and on.
Babble. You got to have that sleep.
It's just there's no.
I come up with brilliant ideas. It's like a drunkenness.
You go from one subject to another continuously. Every 4 or 5 minutes, you're on to something else.
You got to have sleep.
It's just I never come across anything like it.
Yeah. So that's enough. Let's talk more about what the podcast has done for you. So what's the podcast done for you?
Financially, I made a little bit of money, not a lot. I hope to capitalize on it.
It's the first year.
Yeah, but I think in social capital in the WordPress community and in general, I think it's really helped me enormously. and I wish I'd done it much earlier. Kim did keep, saying to me periodically, you really want to consider doing it. And I thought, I haven't got the time. It does take a lot of time up, and it definitely, you've got to have some plan if you're going to continue for more than a year, about how you're going to manage to utilize podcasting in either helping your business or monetizing the effort, because it does take a lot of time. It does help that there's the two of us, and we've got different skill sets.
Yes.
And those skill sets really work together in the podcast, and that really helps both of us, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. So WP-Tonic, a couple of things happened this week that I thought were pretty amazing. You and I went over, we live in Reno, 2 hours away, went over to Sacramento to the WordPress meetup. Had a very good WordPress meetup. What happened?
We got recognized, didn't we? We got a fellowship, Bill.
We got a fellowship, and we're going out to other WordPress meetings, and of course, we'll go up to the workshops. So I think this is going to grow. It's been a year.
I hope we can, both of us can monetize it a little bit. We just don't do it for that. We do actually enjoy doing the show. I do, and I know we have our ups and downs, and there's a lot more work involved in this than most people realize to produce something that has some quality. And I think one of the great things working with you, when it comes to audio quality, you're not prepared to cut down on the standards. You're insistent, just like I'm insistent that we have proper notes, and I do try. You're just as insistent on the audio quality, which sometimes drives me absolutely bonkers. But you are right, because you've got to have some standards, haven't you?
All right. Now we're going to talk about your equipment in the next section, but we can jump into that right now. You're because we're going to talk about how you evolved. You got something which I don't think is bad. I call it the 95% solution, but I think it's actually more than that. I think it's a 98% solution. And you and I talked about this yesterday. You have, I think, a perfect setup. The next level, I think, will be to get the mixer and the DBX and call it a day. But when you get that mixer and DBX, there's all sorts of things that can also go wrong, or you don't know what you're doing. But you've got a USB dynamic mic hooked directly into your MacBook Pro, and you've got a stand, and you've got these. That's it. That doesn't cost a whole lot if you just buy those things.
And I've got a reasonable stand. I've got a reasonable swing arms. That's made a big difference, because you don't get all the banging and knocking all the time, do you?
Right. But so you haven't spent a whole lot. Your mic costs what, $60, $70?
Yeah, for the money, it's supposed to be one of the best UBS mics for money that you can buy.
You've got the Audio Technica 2005, which supposedly has the same guts as the Audio Technica ATR 2100. But I'll tell you what, I think it has better sound. I hear both, and I've got three 2100s.
A lot of people, that's why I bought it, because there was a lot of podcasters and a lot of people that know a lot more than I do said for some reason.
You wouldn't listen to me.
No,
Jonathan would not listen to me initially.
That's not true. Actually, I really think that's not true, Bill. I don't listen to everything you say, because it depends if you've had any sleep.
But I'm the wizard.
When you're your normal self, I do listen. But I read all the reviews, and you said, buy a better USB mic, do your research. And that's what I did, Bill.
Yeah. I mean, the Blue Yeti is fine. A lot of people use the Blue Yeti. It's a good standard. You still have that Blue Yeti. And you can use that for other things like groups of people, meetings, field operations. It pulls the sound in.
I was I was thinking, about after listening to the two, you can clearly hear a difference.
Especially with your voice. Your voice sounds very good, and you've improved dramatically on the breathing issues. A little popping still, but that's okay. We can knock pops out pretty darn fast. But anyway, good. You've got the basic kit that you can probably keep with indefinitely. And when we start getting filthy rich, you can get that DBX, which costs a couple $100. But it does
it is a bit hard though, because you are looking at I totally agree with you. You're looking at improving that 90, improving from 95. Those last few percent are difficult
Yep.
to get.
Well,
And you do have to, but it's a difficult one because, you're also increasing the complexity of the setup.
Yep.
And it's really easy to screw it up.
And I
isn't
have
it?
screwed it up, and here every once in a while something will happen wrong. But let me tell you one last thing though on this DBX. The number one thing about the DBX is not that sound quality change, but it allows me to have a noise gate on there, and it allows me to take the breathing out, so it doesn't even show up. And then when I edit and modify the sound, it isn't amplified; it's just completely out. So that's why I like that noise gate. But you don't need it yet, and most people don't need it, and most people don't care. And if you're doing it for a hobby, especially, you want to leave it at that 95, 98% solution. Even as a professional, I had a friend just set up some real high-end celebrities, and actually there's 3 of them around a table, and they are going to use a Blue Yeti, which we started with. They're putting in towels, but eventually, if they want to get good, they need to have separate mics, but then they need a technician sort of to help them get going. And some people don't have that. Well, Jonathan, very good. Let's go on to the next part here. Let me just sort of grab here. So the bottom line up front, we sort of jumped into the equipment, which is really the second part of the show. And we didn't really talk more about some of the other things that the podcast, WP-Tonic, has done for you, but it's also done some things for me. I've been working really hard for 2 years to develop not only the craft of podcasting, but the craft of WordPress, targeted at podcasters, specifically at podcasters. What do they need? What are their problems? Because a lot of people, they might know how to put together some simple websites here and there, or might have done it like myself. But if you're going to take it to the next level, you really need to have a WordPress site. I'm saying WordPress. It can be real simple. You need to load it. You can do it yourself. It takes some work. I've tried to knock down with you or with your help. We've got about 8 really good plugins that are developer-based plugins, and created. That's what Podcasters Home's all about creating that platform. So, but you've helped me, and your show, WP-Tonic, has introduced me to the very best WordPress people across the country. So something like Morton,
Yeah.
Morton through Linda is so well known. Let me just, I had the site up a second ago. There are just so many people. Name some of the folks that we've talked to. Brian.
Well, we've got Brian Bourne, we've got David from Freud. I'm just naming off some of the. We've got Adam Silver, the podcaster, Los Angeles. We've got Sally, haven't we? That we met this week.
Marcus Couch, we talked to. John Loomer.
John Loomer. We've spoken. I can't pronounce his second name. David from Thailand. The Austrian and that runs Fat Apps.
Brian Clark, Rainmaker, Clark, huge,
right?
Huge.
Yeah, who's a really down to earth, really bright, obviously highly intelligent businessman, but he's very down to earth and very approachable, isn't he?
Yep.
But you find that with most, not everybody, but you find that with most of the crowds in WordPress, they're running, some of them are running very successful business, but they're still classified as small business. Most of them below 100 people.
Well, $10 million, $10 million. Some of those folks we talk to, not income, but their gross is over 10, and they have high profit margins. Some have 100 employees.
Yeah, but the small business not authority, classifies small business below 500 people, which is ridiculous, really. But the basic standard of people I've noticed in the WordPress community, they don't really tolerate real, people that are really obnoxious, not in an aggressive way, but you're not going to get very far in the WordPress community if you really, really got a bad attitude problem.
At your level, where you are and the people we're talking about, that's so true. Just like podcasting is small at the top when you go to the conferences, there's not, there's only a few hundred people really there's just a small group of people really at the top who you get to know, and they get to know you. It's a small group. I know a lot of folks. You're right, Jonathan. Sorry to interrupt you. But WordPress is exactly.
Well, you normally do, man.
I'm good at interrupting, Jonathan. I'm still catching up on my sleep.
Yes, I noticed. I also think our audience love our banter, don't we? We are merciless. Merciless with one another, aren't you?
I banter more when I have less sleep. So maybe I should have less sleep on days we do WP-Tonic.
No, don't do that. I noticed our last episode, which almost took 25 minutes before we actually started recording, and I actually started crying in mental anguish. You actually left that bit in the beginning, didn't you?
Yeah, I
You
did.
do. You do seem to glorify in inducing mental suffering in me,
Oh,
don't you?
absolutely. Yeah, that's my highlight of my day. Anyway, finishing
Yeah.
off the evil genius, Spence, Foreman. We've
Oh
had,
yes, the evil genius. Yes.
and these guys are pretty amazing when you start looking at what they're doing in WordPress. And there's something called focus, follow one course into success. But through these people, though, they are actually the shortcuts to what works, the people in our program. So I think I've accelerated this year, and I want to learn so much more. So
They're all
thanks.
people. They're all people. I think are over. I was thinking, what links all these people together in some way? Carrie Deals.
Uh-huh.
She's been on the show, hasn't she? We've had. I think almost all of them are people that in some. We never can do this fully. So don't get it wrong. I'm not saying it is a delusion in some way, but they're all a group of people that want to take as much control over their own lives as possible.
Yep.
That want to do their own thing, and the success part. And it's just like me. I'm not that materialistic. I just want to have a decent life and be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And if I can achieve that, I would, at the end of my life, I will be content. If I can keep to my principles and do the things that I want to do and work with the people that I want to work, I would consider my life has been a reasonable success, Bill.
Very good. So I'm going to finish up with the bottom line upfront questions, the section part, and then we're going to get to your success principles, which I like to add that to the site. That's kind of fun. But anyway, bottom line up front, the last couple of questions is, what are some of your favorite technologies and app that make your life better and easier in your business and in our podcasting?
Well, I think Skype, even though it's a Microsoft product,
that is hysterical.
It can be infuriating. It is essential to a lot of stuff we do, isn't it? Skype. Yes. And Google, and another company that is a mixed bag, Google.
We're using we use Google Hangouts all the time.
Google Hangout to say that it's a schizoid
and
product.
Gmail, we love Gmail.
Yeah, I use
Commercial
Google
grade.
Apps quite a lot. I think WordPress, obviously, WordPress has been good to me.
That's got to be number one, WordPress.
Yeah, it's got to be Matt Automatic. I think I think he's a man still in his early 30s. It's sickening, really, that a man of still so young has achieved so much. And I don't mean that purely in financial terms, even though he is a wealthy man. I mean the opportunities that him and Automatic have given to a lot of people, a way of making a good living in quite difficult times for a lot of people. So I think, he should be, I know he's very satisfied how the last 10 years have gone for him and Automatic.
Yep, that's very good. So WordPress went out there. Now the last question is, how do you use your website, mail list, and social media? How do you build those and use those? That's a big question for you. And you've got so many websites, of course, and some three core ones.
No, I actually haven't.
I've
only got 3.
But you built a lot, but you've got core. I call it core websites.
I got 3,
and I'm going that direction too.
Yeah, unless you've got a big team, that there's only so many web properties. Digital Delirium, I haven't really kept that maintained. It's actually done in a different technology than WordPress, but there's a version 2 that I keep working on. I might actually change from Digital Delirium and just call it my name, Jonathan Denwood.
I think that's a good move. That's a very good move.
I try to have different websites for different parts of my life. WordPress would be about Jonathan Denwood would be. I'm a big so I've got either Digital Delirium or Jonathan Denwood. I've got WP-Tonic,
Yep.
which is the podcast and maintenance, WordPress maintenance. And then I've got this all-income that dominated almost 18 months of my life. I've got this monster called MailRite, haven't I?
It's called a SaaS, SaaS.
Which is a SaaS product.
I'm very impressed with it. Not impressed with how hard it is, but it's very impressive.
Yeah, I've kept at it, and you've helped. You've put, a lot of input, and you've supported me. That's when you're not overly critical, but that depends on how much sleep you've got. You can always tell when Bill hasn't had his sleep. So they're the three websites that kind of two of them really dominate a lot of my life the past year. And I've had to reduce the amount of actual consultancy. I hope to, through WP-Tonic, I want a lot of small jobs and then do some of them and with my crew. Actually, they're easier to handle if you've got the processes. So that's what we're trying to do there and just build up. I think I'll get MailRite to a level where it never stops. The next hurdle. But it's
a good product, and there's so many things that can be done. I've thought of some really simple, basic things we can apply it to. But that said, I'm not going to let you even answer this next question, your mail list and your social media, because that's really your business, and you have to come back later. We'll get that in a different show, or go over to WP-Tonic. Go someplace else. MailRite. We're doing some webs. We're doing actually some YouTube shows right now on MailRite.
Yeah, at some stage I like to turn that into actual podcasts.
Easy to do. Yeah. So we'll let you. We're gonna just go and look at MailRite. It's actually a mail system that ties in social media. It's pretty cool, and it's used primarily for real estate agents now, but it has other uses too. That said, Jonathan, I want to get into your top 7. We might 7 or 8, whatever they might be, but your 7 rules. Go over your 7 rules real fast and then talk about each one of them.
Yeah, I think number 1 is honesty. And I mean, not only honesty to other people, but being really brutally honest with oneself and knowing oneself. I think it's Socrates says that you can't really help anybody else unless you really understand yourself. And most of us don't understand ourselves and are not really totally honest with ourselves. A lot of us are on automatic pilot, and part of that is we don't want to be totally honest with ourselves, because that can be, a lot of the time can be rather painful to be absolute, to understand oneself and to be totally honest with oneself.
Okay, so go through them real fast. I know.
Name
the 7 real fast.
So honestly, I think you got to have plans of action.
Next one,
relationships, mentors, money, but not in the way you think. Comfort, and hard work.
And doubling your effort. So let's go back through those. You talked about honesty. Plan of action.
Yeah. Well, it's really easy just to drift around, and on reflection, I've done too much drifting. I think you need, I think realistically, getting 3 key things done a day is about achievable. Trying to do any apart, you need a list and just aim to get your 3 key things done. If you get anything more done, that's a bonus. But having these really long lists of things and thinking you're going to get it done you're deluding yourself. It's better just to be realistic, aim for your top 3, then have a 6-month goals, and then have a 2-year to a 5-year goals where you would like, they don't have to be that detailed, but have some kind of rational roadmap where you're going, because otherwise, if you've got no roadmap, you're going to follow somebody else's map. right?
That's good. If you don't have a map, someone else is going to make a map for you. It's going to take
Exactly.
them. You're going to go wherever they want you to go. That's very good, Jonathan. So
And
relationships.
the end spot might not be where you wanted to go,
Right.
right?
Right. Plan.
Relationship. Well, a lot of people in technology can be criticized of this. Everything in business and life is all about relationship. Nobody that really does, some circumstances, uh, this doesn't apply, but I would say 95 to 99%, nobody's going to really do business with somebody they really don't respect, like, or think they can deliver. And everything is about those three pillars of relationship. And relationship, going to conferences, getting yourself out, obviously having a skill. I don't even, I know a lot of people that utilize other people, and I know they're not the best, but they do deliver. And the reason why people use them is they enjoy the experience. So relationship is really important, Bill.
Very good. Mentorship now?
Something I really discredited, didn't really. It's if you're wanting, it's linked to plan of action. Mentorship keeps you on task. Having somebody who's done the things that you're trying to do, that can advise you, can introduce you to people at crucial moments, can advise you confidentially. You can be totally honest with that individual, not have to put the body armor which you've got to put on every day, the public face that is expected when you're running the business. You don't have to have that with that individual. You can be totally honest. It's crucial, and not having a good mentor at different stages in your business career is going to damage, it's going to slow your progress. It's going to make, something that would have made the process a lot more easier, going to be lacking. I would highly advise anybody to get a good, at any stage. I've got a mentor and I'm 52 now. And
it's like Kim Doyle, right? She's one of your mentors. You might.
She's a kind of. I've got another person that's local that I meet every couple of weeks, right?
But you've have other people. A mentor can be more than one person. I know Kim has had a lot of influence on you.
Yeah,
and you have a lot of respect for her, what she does and her direction.
Well, she's a doer. She's one of these people that doesn't give up.
Yep, that's good.
The number 5, money, and not the love of money, but most people. It's very unusual that most businesses that get success get it from nowhere. I know some have, there are these legendary stories that they started with nothing, but most times, for you to, succeed, you need a reasonable amount of capital. And normally most, even if you're trying to keep the costs down to the bare minimum, it's going to be probably more expensive than you thought. You can get in circumstances where you get, especially online, if you get everything, spot on straight away. And we've had discussions with some WordPress entrepreneurs that have managed to get into positive cash flow from almost week 1.
That's unusual, though.
But
it's not their first shot. No,
it's not normally their first shot at it either, is it?
No.
You need money, a bit of money behind you, or it needs to be a part-time gig and you're doing something else, or you got investors, and be aware that most businesses successful didn't start with an empty bank account from day one.
And you need that money for that positive cash. You need positive cash shows when you're making money, but you still need bad for me. But we understand you need money because it's not always going to be positive when you start. Very good, Jonathan. So pushing yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, you're not going to grow as this is one of the fallacies we like comfort, we like predictability, we like a nice, comfortable personal life. We like living obviously I don't want violence and destruction to visit America or Britain. But, there's discomfort. I'm not talking about life threatening, but there's also the death of comfort, the death of, oh, I've got this crap job, but I keep on working for the next 6 years and I'll retire. Well, you might not meet those 6 years. You never know what's coming. You can die of comfort. Comfort leads to a cow. Discomfort leads to the wolf. Now, the wolf's got one of the biggest brains. It can visualize all its hunting areas. Pure comfort tends not to lead to great.
What's an example of where you've pushed yourself out of the comfort zone?
Coming to America.
Oh, I can think of lots of them, but I didn't think that's true. Yeah, that's big, huge.
It's a huge move.
Because I know you had a good business in England.
It was a really good business, and I decided, and I kicked myself. No, I don't actually. I could see some signs. It was a difficult build, but I could see some signs of trouble brewing.
Yeah,
and you can't sell a business that's failing.
You had a very successful multi-shop dry cleaning business in England.
I had one unit and a couple other units,
and you went for your dreams and married. That's another story you got to listen in. But very good. Yeah. So pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. You said that. I was thinking even doing the SaaS product. Reaching every day. That's horrendous what you're doing with that SaaS product. Software as a service. I know every day. It's ups and downs. I go through Jonathan. Man, it's ups and downs, and he's the sales and the marketing. It has huge potential. Okay, let's drive on because we want to finish this thing up because of our time.
Hard work. Yeah, everybody says,
Well, you told me double your effort, not just hard work.
You might be getting, double. If you think,
you think you're working hard enough now, double it.
Double it. And
I like that.
You still probably won't be getting.
But then I won't sleep at all.
I wouldn't cut back on the sleep, Bill. It doesn't bring the best out of you. Honestly, you're like two different people.
I still haven't had my full rest sleep the last 2 days.
Oh my God! Yesterday you were. But no, to achieve anything that's worth achievable. Don't kid yourself. It's going to take double the work and then double that. Anything that's really, really worthwhile for you to do, the amount of effort, but don't think about it because then you get, I just can't be bothered. Have a, and I've,
that next 6 years working at the, as a postman didn't look too bad.
No,
whatever it is. What do you say, crap job?
I should have concentrated becoming a much better PHP developer than I am. But I also like social media and I like business. So but I should have just studied the PHP more intently. I think only that's the other thing. I think you also, because of web design and you're dealing with small, medium and the budget, it's really easy to become a jack of all trades because of the budget. I think it's really better to do that, but then just concentrate some of your time on one particular area and become a real expert at that particular area. And that would allow you to get better clients with better budgets and then really specialize.
So we had an 8, specialize in something.
It's best. 8. Yeah, specialize in one particular area of the web because the web's such a big subject and there's so many. And there's so many people in this industry or in this online world that really do believe they're experts and they're not. It's all about results but don't also, it's a really, really difficult one because one of the great things about the web is that, John Loomer, he's become one of the best well-known experts in Facebook paid advertisement. but he learned. He got into it 4 years ago, and he really knuckled down and has become. It just shows you how rapidly, if you really focus on one particular area and you choose the right area that's got future and growth, you can become a real dominant player, can't you, Bill?
Right. So what I'm going to do is we got to tie this up together. We've got a little over 30 minutes, and it's been a good episode, Jonathan. And of course, I think of the first 20 or 30, you probably have, no, maybe I'm going to try to get some new noteworthy, but most people have had a lot of years on podcasting. You've gone very fast. You have gone, I could say in the last, all our shows are pretty good, but in the last 6 months, you've really gone fast. And I got to say, working together with you on this show, it's a blast. It's 50-50. And you do all the show notes and the websites. You're feeding back and forth. I'm doing the production and actually you're producing per se WP-Tonic, but I'm doing the technical production and I'm in the background, always listening in on all your technical folks and meeting all these fine people. So it's been a great, great thing. Enjoyed it. But I'm going to go over your points real fast. Honesty to yourself, plan of action, relationships, mentorship, money to make money, push yourself out of your control zone, double your efforts. And then you said specialize for number 8. Very good. I think if we do those things, you do well, period. You have a high probability of succeeding. Jonathan, it's been I'm looking forward to another 50 shows. We're coming up on, we just recorded today, was it 48, 49, whatever it was. For 50 is close. Must be 49. I'm going to have some sleep before we hit 50.
Whatever, Bill. Whatever.
So say goodbye to podcast land, and we're going to stay on for 2 seconds on YouTube.
Right.
Hi, YouTube. We're still here. Well, Jonathan, what did you think of that show, the new format?
Yeah, I think it's really good. It's you always really do a good job of it, Bill. But I actually think we kept on target, and I think it seemed to have a good flow to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good show. It's still evolving, still coming in. Now, I didn't ask you the question that I asked some of these seasoned podcasters. We have one podcaster, by the way, Cochran, who's well known, owner of Blueberry, one of the top, and Lipson, Rob Welch. He has $10 million worth of $10,000 in podcasting equipment. How do you do 10,000? That's what he has, 10,000. He's got a studio and everything's crazy. But I didn't ask you how to make new noteworthy.
I wouldn't have a clue.
Right. You're still working that, but you've been trying to figure it out. We've talked about even WordPress, getting up in the stats in WordPress. This iTunes is really unique. The process. Tell me, just as this is behind the scenes after, what do you think of iTunes and some of the processes? How do you think you get up there in rating in iTunes?
Well, I think they do look at the reviews. They do look at the downloads.
You have a lot of reviews. You got those and downloads, yeah.
Look, I noticed one guy. What's his name? He's a hardcore online marketer. He's not a really WordPress community person. I'm just getting it up now to find his name. He's suddenly appeared in the top.
Yeah, there's tricks. There's tricks behind it. Let's see how you sort it. Now, if you type in President Obama, my name will come up. By the way, the easiest way to find our shows is type in Bill Conrad. You'll find all 3, or Jonathan Denwood. And we didn't mention this. We should have. How do you get a hold of you?
Yeah,
I'll bring that up.
Robert Plank, the Robert Plank show. He suddenly appeared and he's in the top 15.
Well, it's knowing the tricks. There's some tricks out there, and that's why I refer people to some of the very top podcasters for teaching.
Yeah,
close to me.
But we've improved the graphics, the looks, the guests, the format. I don't think there's one part, the sound quality with your guidance, the production quality. I don't think there's been one part of WP-Tonic that hasn't consistently got better.
It's lovely to see WP-Tonic. It's consistently growing, and growing at this rate, it'll get fairly large, because if it keeps on growing every month, like a couple percentages, 3 to 5%, that's huge. That's compounded too, and it's continuing to grow. There'll be a time when it caps up. I think you'll see us get up around 3,000 downloads an episode one of these days. I mean, we're on our way. It just, if we had money and some other techniques, we've got it down pretty well now, the science of the show, and especially with a roundtable. But there's a limited amount of people who really want to listen to WordPress and some of those technical sides. They should. But if you had the money, you could push that out and get an audience real fast by a lot of techniques. But we're just going to organically grow that one, because it's really it's a process.
And I think the I think with the maintenance, it makes it work. I think I can get
Yeah.
people to buy in. There's other companies, and because WordPress is still growing rapidly, I think there's still a lot of oxygen for
Yeah.
a decent maintenance company, and it makes sense doing the podcast. You know,
Yeah.
I think you're looking at your podcasting product that will make it worthwhile you to continue.
And it'll work. It'll work.
It's all starting to fit in. It just, you know, I'm not looking to make a fortune. I think as long as I keep plugging along, have enough oxygen, and can start to make some reasonable money, I can keep at Mel right, and also keep doing the podcasting, which I sincerely want to do, Bill.
In closing, for those who've listened through, Jonathan, you basically had one WordPress company, a website development coding company. You started another company with MailRite. That's a completely different company that took a lot of money and effort and took away from your first company. So now you've gone back and balanced it for cash flow, because a SaaS of that nature takes a lot of effort, a lot of money, but it has huge potential. And I know it's going to work. It'll work. Just keep on driving.
I'm actually warming to the real estate industry. I know it's crazy.
I'm happy, and that's my background. That's good.
But a lot of people in real I looked at another industry, and I didn't actually like. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to. I don't want to knock anybody, really. I just want to make a reasonable living. But it was an industry that I was a bit disappointed in the actual quality of people. Real estate people, a lot of the more successful ones, they just want to be a successful person, and they want to provide good service to their client. They know if they don't provide good service to their client base, they're not going to be successful.
That's good.
So actually, they're normally pretty decent people, actually.
Hey, Jonathan, on closing, just going back to New Noteworthy, and we'll finish up for the YouTube behind the scenes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this episode and we'll put it on as a special on WP-Tonic the week I launch new media. I'm at this show, which is Podcaster. That way people see it in different places and have a feel of it. Just like I'm launching on Timeline of Success, another person's episode. I sort of did a joint episode with both Timeline and this episode together. So
I'm still determined to get Pat Flynn on, Bill.
I know. I'm gonna when you get Pat Flynn, I told you I'll buy that steak dinner.
I want that steak dinner.
At Harrah's too. I'll take you to Harrah's.
All right.
That's the best place in Reno. Well, let's sign off, YouTube. Say goodbye, YouTube. Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.